it's Michelle, and today's video is going to be all about the dark reality of the royal family. I have been very interested in the royal family for the past, I would say like 10 years or so. Ever since I got into conspiracy, I always thought it was super interesting, which is weird because as an American, I would say it's really not a big thing to like know much about the royal family here. I would say like most people in America don't really know anything besides like the basics. Let's get into it. We're gonna kind of go down the line from what truly happened to Princess Diana to secret family members that were kept hidden from the public and so much more. So let's just dive in. I think the more that I learned about the royal family, the more interested I was in their bizarre, in my eyes, set of rules. I just think it is so interesting coming from an American, and I know that this will probably annoy some British people, and I really do not mean to, because I love the whole concept of it in a way. Like, I think the royal family is a cool concept overall. I think that the traditions and the rules are like very, very interesting. The respect for like the queen or the king at the time, and I totally get all of that. But I do think that the royals take themselves just like a little too seriously in a way that I find really funny with some of their rules. I just guess when I was looking on the outside, especially like I said as an American, because you have to understand, Americans do not grow up with like the British education system of the royal family. Like, you guys know a lot of these rules and you're aware of them as you're growing up, but to hear this as an adult, it's always interesting to me, especially after watching the Harry and Meghan documentary on Netflix. I wasn't aware because I always thought that like, yes, like on the outside, the royal family presented as super poised, proper, bowing to the queen, like everything. Like, I thought, okay, that's all like on the outside. Like, I wonder what it's actually like to be in Buckingham Palace. Like, that's the part that's interesting to me, is to see what it's like to be on the inside. But apparently it's like the exact same. According to Meghan and Harry, that kind of energy doesn't really stop. Like, even though Queen Elizabeth was their grandmother, the respect that they have is just like unwavering, which is cool in a way, but it's also like so intense. Let's just get into some of the rules that I think are really interesting, because not only do they follow them and is it like royal protocol in front of people, which to me makes more sense, but it seems like it's royal protocol behind closed doors as well, which is kind of cool. Like, as much as I'm like, I don't know, like it's kind of, they take themselves very seriously, I kind of think it's interesting. First rule is the monarch must approve of every proposal in the royal family before the proposal actually occurs. I think that this is pretty interesting because, like, why? Just like, I mean, I get it, I guess. Like, it's kind of sweet and cute that they had to ask the queen first. And now that they have to ask Charles, it's like less sweet and cute in my opinion, but like whatever. I just feel like saying the King of England sounds wrong. It's the queen. Lizzie. This rule makes sense to me, but it's also kind of sad. It shows like the coldness I feel like must feel being a part of this family, which is that they always have to travel with an all-black outfit in case of a sudden death, or they have to attend a funeral. The way that they're supposed to act when a death happens is, to me, what would be like the hardest part about being a part of this family. Harry and William had to go greet people right after their mother died, and like there's kids, like that should not be happening, but it's just the way that it works. Next rule, they're not allowed to express any political opinion whatsoever. They're also not allowed to vote. I think that this is interesting, but it would probably suck. Another one that I think is interesting too is that monarchs have to approve of the wedding dress. This to me would annoy me. Not for Lizzie, because I feel like that'd be fine, like the queen, but like, I'm like, ew, like, why does Prince Charles have to approve the wedding dress? Like, is it kind of just like a passive thing? Like, they just see it and they're like, yeah, that's cool, or that's good, whatever. I just want to know what that's like. Like, what is the approval process behind the dresses? Because I'm just like, why does it matter? But it also, like, I get it. I also love, obsessed with this, but again, now that it's Charles, I'm like, whatever. But the queen didn't need a passport or a driver's license. She just like could do whatever she wanted, essentially. Her passports in the UK literally say that they're like issued by Her Majesty. She's not just gonna like issue herself a passport. She doesn't need one. She can literally go anywhere she wants without a passport. Now King Charles can do the same. This one got me. I just think this is so funny, but no one in the palace can go to bed before the monarch does. Like, I just feel like that's so dramatic. But those are just some of the rules that I think are kind of silly. I guess. I get it for like the early 1900s, the 1800s, it makes sense for these rules to exist, but like now in this day and age, I just feel like, what's the point? A lot of royals still follow this protocol, some do not. We have seen some rule breakers, Princess Diana being a huge one in our lifetime, and I always thought that that was really cool. Let's talk about some of the history of the royal family that is probably some stuff that they don't like talking about. Not that they talk about anything that goes on, because they're not allowed to, pretty much, but this is some stuff that they definitely would never want to address, even if they could. Prince Philip was born in Greece, and his sisters actually ended up marrying German princes and became very close friends with Nazis. Definitely don't like that, and his sister Cecile and her husband actually became Nazis. His sister Sophie even named one of her children Karl Adolf. Disgusting. Next dark secret that the royal family tries to hide is none other than Queen Elizabeth's cousins, and these were her first cousins, Larissa and Catherine Bowes-Lyon. They were the first cousins of Queen Elizabeth, and they were born with mental disabilities. Instead of being cared for and loved by their family, they were exiled and hidden away at the Royal Earlswood Institution for Mental Defectives at age 22 and age 15. Their family actually reported the girls as dead in 1961. Even though they were very much alive. When Nerissa sadly passed away in 1986, she only had hospital staff attend her funeral. None of the royal family came, and in the time that her and her sister were alive, none of the royal family visited, sent any Christmas cards, birthday cards, nothing. I think is pretty interesting considering their aunt is the Queen Mother, aka Queen Elizabeth's mom. She was a patron of the Men Camp, a charity for people with learning disabilities, so it is just quite hypocritical. She completely exiled her nieces and didn't even care. After Nerissa died, she was buried and her grave was marked with plastic tags until her existence was revealed into the media, and then the royal family provided a gravestone, which is just so fucked up. That was in 1986, like that's not even that long ago. It's just pretty sad to think that just because they were mentally disabled that they were hidden away and treated like they were nothing and given no money, no visitors, no cards, nothing. So disgusting. Obviously, I feel like we can't talk about the dark side of the royal family without talking about Prince Andrew's connection to Jeffrey Epstein. According to a woman named Virginia, she claims that she was trafficked by Epstein, and she said that she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew in 2001 when she was only 17 years old. She also claimed that Epstein said that she would be killed or abducted if she refused to have sex with Andrew. Prince Andrew denies these allegations, but I mean, there's pictures of them together, you know. I believe it. So easily one of the darkest pockets of the royal family has to do with the treatment of Princess Diana. People are probably expecting me to talk about the conspiracy of her death, which we'll talk about later. I really want to focus on the treatment of Princess Diana while she was still alive. Princess Diana really struggled to find her place in the royal family. She really felt like she didn't fit in. The media was constantly ridiculing her, and honestly, Princess Diana's time in the royal family has direct parallels to Meghan Markle's time. And I know a lot of people do not like Meghan Markle. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about her. We're probably just going to disagree on. I like her. Despite that, it's like undeniable that people treated Diana in similar ways, but Diana definitely had her share of terrible times with the press and the tabloids, and that ultimately led to her death. But again, we will talk about that later. I just wanted to point out the fact that I see a lot of people ridiculing Meghan but praising Diana, and I don't know if it's because they've forgotten or if it was before that they were born, but you have to understand that Meghan is being treated similarly to how Diana was treated with the royal family. British media did not like Diana either, and they would come up with horribly cruel headlines about her and constantly stalk her and follow her around. It was pretty crazy, especially because when you put it into perspective, she is the mother of the future king, Princess Diana. She is in line, or was in line when she got married to Prince Charles to be queen one day. Makes sense why they're so obsessed with her. But like Meghan is someone who was like, they were, you know, Harry was never gonna be the king. It just, I still don't get it. I would say that especially after Diana's death, people kind of make it out to seem like the British media and the population in general only had love for Princess Diana, but this definitely wasn't always the case. Princess Diana experienced constant harassment by the media and the press, especially in the weeks leading up to her death. Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, actually spoke out about the treatment of Princess Diana, where he claims that she spoke endlessly about leaving Britain because of the treatment that she received in the newspapers. According to her brother, Diana said that she truly never understood why her genuinely good intentions were being sneered by the media. Diana was constantly being mocked and put down by the British tabloids in such a way that truly began to affect her mental health.
Myself, my arms and my legs. I didn't like myself. I was ashamed that I couldn't cope with the pressures. I had bulimia for a number of years, and that's like a secret disease you inflicted upon yourself because your self-esteem is at a low ebb and you don't think you're worthy or valuable. Well, maybe I was the first person ever to be in this family who ever had a depression or was ever openly tearful. And obviously that was daunting, because if you've never seen it before, how do you support it? It gave everybody a wonderful new label. It's Diana's unstable and Diana's mentally imbalanced. You have to know that when you have bulimia, you're very ashamed of yourself and you hate yourself. So, and people think you're wasting food. So you don't discuss it with people. You have so much pain inside yourself that you try and hurt yourself on the outside because you want help, but it's the wrong help you're asking for.
Diana was super depressed during her time as a royal. She desperately tried to get help multiple times, and the royal family kind of wrote it off. Again, similarly to the way that Meghan Markle was treated. It all began when Prince Charles was like grabbing Princess Diana by the waist and said, "A bit chubby here, aren't we?" And that was when she started having severe eating disorders, depression, the list goes on and on. She was really going through it, and she wanted the media to know what she was going through, but she knew that she could not be the one to have said anything because she could lose custody of her children. She was very concerned of that, but obviously the royal family has so much power that she knew that it was definitely a possibility that they could have just basically claimed that she was insane and had her sent away to a mental institution and taken custody away from her. And this was like the last thing that Diana wanted, obviously, so she knew that she had to come up with some way to get out everything that she wanted to say without being the one who technically exposed it. So she began actually recording these audio tapes, kind of explaining her life when she began to recognize that her marriage was falling apart. These tapes were now made public 6 years after her death. Spoke in these tapes about how when she was pregnant with Prince William, she tried to get help from Prince Charles, saying that she felt really depressed. She was struggling with an eating disorder, and Charles was basically saying that she was crying wolf. He wasn't going to listen to her, so she threw herself down the stairs, which is just so sad. She talks about how she attempted to commit suicide multiple times. She also talked about how the royal family, including the Queen, were all very aware of her eating disorders and her mental state, but instead of getting her help, they actually just tried to cover it up. And one time Diana even fainted out in public because she was not consuming any food. So obviously she's gonna be very dizzy, very lightheaded, and she fainted. And Charles was like, "Why couldn't you have fainted behind like a closed door?" And this really that's just so fucked up. Not only the fact that, you know, she was treated this way by the media that bothers me, it's the way that she was struggling and was like searching for a lifeline, and the royal family knew that, but no one was helping her. And I feel like this topic rings similar to the treatment of Meghan Markle, which is our next topic. So if you don't like Meghan Markle, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to like this part, but I would say that she has received a lot of hate ever since she started dating Prince Harry in 2016. Whether you like her or not, you cannot deny the clear difference between the way that the media covers Meghan versus the way that the media covers Kate Middleton. It's a clear difference. There's several examples of the British media covering Meghan in a negative light for doing or wearing something that Kate was praised for. The media also contributed to a lot of racist microaggressions towards Meghan, like saying Harry's new girlfriend, who's straight out of Compton, just beyond fucked up. Harry and Meghan also spoke in the Oprah interview, saying that some member of the royal family claimed to be concerned about Archie's skin tone, which is Harry and Meghan's first child. Weird and very fucked up. Ultimately, I want to use this to talk about the parallels between Diana and Meghan, because there are many, and if you don't believe me, maybe you will believe Prince Harry himself, who knew both of them. But Prince Harry did talk about this in the Harry and Meghan documentary. He talked about it. He talked about the parallels between Princess Di and Meghan Markle's treatment from the media. Also, something that was said in the Harry and Meghan documentary, which is something I want to touch on, is that Harry was the one who wanted to leave the royal family because of the treatment that Meghan was getting in the media, but also the lack of support from the royal family themselves. The reason that I would say a lot of people claim that they don't like Meghan Markle is because they're like, she made Harry leave. I'm like, bitch, Harry was already 1 foot out the door before he even met Meghan. Just don't think that it's like fair to blame Meghan for a man's decision. Like, that's his decision. You can't blame her. Ultimately, regardless of conspiracy, the media was responsible for Princess Diana's death, like 100%. We're gonna talk about that next, but I also want to reiterate, I feel like a lot of people will act like they don't like Meghan because she made him leave the royal family, but even before they had left the royal family, it was still ridiculous, the tabs that were about her. The media was terrible to her. It was fucked up. Let's get into the death of Princess Diana. Princess Diana tragically died in a car accident on August 31st, 1997. Car crash was in Paris, France. She was with her boyfriend, Dodi Fayed, and their driver, Henri Paul. Now, why I said the media is responsible for her death is because it is expected that the reason that the car crashed was because of the camera flashing from the paparazzi blinded the driver in the tunnel that they were driving through. So again, Princess Diana died at the hands of the press. Unless you want to go into the idea that there's like a conspiracy behind it, that the royal family had this be set up, whole different topic that we'll get into. What we think happened, which is that she died at the hands of the paparazzi. I don't understand how you expect Harry, her son, watch his mother go through being ridiculed by the media and then being killed because of the media, which he has talked about before, and then have to watch your wife go through the same fucking thing. Why wouldn't he leave the royal family? Like, I understand the concept of tradition and keeping the tradition alive. He tried to get help within the family for Meghan. He tried to talk to the tabloids and say, like, you know, this is messed up that you guys are saying this, XYZ. He tried to do things and it was not getting better. It was only getting worse. He's not gonna like watch someone that he loves become super depressed and potentially die at the hands of the British press again. So I just don't understand why people think that it's so messed up that he like left the royal family. I feel like most people would do the same thing. Regardless, let's talk about some of the conspiracy theories that revolve around Princess Diana's death. A lot of people think that it was set up by the royal family / the British government. The theory goes that the royal family killed her because the royals refused to accept a marriage between a Muslim man, which was Dodi Fayed, because there was rumors that they were to be married. There was rumors that she was pregnant. None of these are necessarily like proven to be true. But even Dodi's dad has talked about it and said that she was pregnant. Like, we'll probably never know the answer to that. Regardless, she was in a relationship with a Muslim man and they did not want the mother of the future king to be marrying a Muslim man. I would say some of the most damning evidence we have towards this theory, according to her former butler, Paul Burrell, he received a horrifying letter from Princess Diana before she passed away, claiming that they were going to kill her and make it look like an accident so that Charles could marry again. And then a lot of other people believe that she perhaps faked her death due to being terrified of being killed, which I think is a possibility as well. But truthfully, I feel like we're never gonna know what actually happened that night. And I honestly think all three options are a possibility. Like, I think that it's a possibility that the paparazzi light was too bright and distracted the driver and had him crash. The royals had this set up and had her killed, allegedly. And not saying like the queen, but more like the establishment as a whole. The third theory, I do think it's a possibility that maybe she got in this car accident and was made it out alive and she was like, you know what? I'm faking my death because I don't know. I can't do this anymore. I don't know. What I will say is odd is, like, for me, a lot of the people who were friends with Diana at the time got calls about this accident and they were told that Diana was okay and that she had just like broken her leg and that Dodi was dead. And like that was kind of the narrative that was going around for a while, so I feel like they were very shocked when she actually had died. Do you think it's a little odd that like apparently she has last words after the accident happened? She was like, oh no, like what has happened or something like that. And I just feel like if she would have died, she like wouldn't have been able, like if she was that severely injured, she probably would be unconscious, but I again don't know. But I would love to hear you guys' theories on what you think happened. That is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the royal family. If you have any other royal family conspiracy theories, please let me know below. But that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, and subscribe for new videos every week. And I will see you guys later. Bye.